I think there's a little synchronicity with the song and that inspirational interval. So I want you all to fall in love with the Dalai Lama and the Archbishop. So I'm going to show you 2 clips because they're just so adorable. Almost as good as laughing babies.
My long time, my friend. You see, you have, I think, great potential.
Potential.
Great potential, yes. I mean, great potential is to create more happier humanity.
Yes. Mm.
So even you see, just look, you see your face. I think many people, you're always laughing, always joyful. That itself, very positive message. Mm. So sometimes, if may I say so, you see, political leaders or spiritual leaders, very serious face. Then, as soon as saw you see that serious face, we feel little sort of,
hesitant.
hesitant. Oh, so see your face itself. You see something.
It's a big nose.
and you sometimes you see your eyes. Oh, look, oh, big round. Oh, that sometimes scares me.
Yes.
So I really appreciate you come and join our sort of
Conversation.
join sort of what's the work.
You don't wake up in the morning and say, hey, I'm going to become a friend to the Dalai Lama. It just happens. You see, he's not listening.
I will not listen.
Behave like a holy man.
How are you doing, everyone? Are we ready?
People innately are good, you know.
All have same sort of desire to have happy life, happy day, happy month.
When we kept quiet, our hearts discovered that they were kindred.
Our religion is something unique and something very special.
Share the joy. Are you in?
Great.
Everybody seeks happiness.
So, I've been taking a lot of lessons from this book. I'm sure there's a few more left too. The Book of Joy. And today I want to talk about you are a masterpiece in the making. And to me, when I think of masterpiece in the making, it opens up a freedom, a lot, kind of like the free fall. If you're a masterpiece in the making, it opens up the freedom for you to be in the making, right? To go through the process. You're not all painted and done, right? We are masterpieces in the making, so we get to keep adding. Here's what the Archbishop says. You are made for perfection, but you are not yet perfect. You are a masterpiece in the making. I like to think of this as the spiritual practice of reframing. Reframing is a very, very useful practice in our spiritual lives. This reframing creates for me a holy spaciousness in my spiritual journey. It creates wiggle room, the kind of wiggle room that encourages us to try new things, to stretch. Not unlike the parable of flying the plane. You know how we've heard about when you fly a plane, when you see the instruments and there's where you're going, you're constantly correcting. You know, first you turn to the right, then you turn to the left, you turn to the right. You don't just set the dot and go in a straight line. Like when you're driving a car, you're always turning. So that's how it is for us. Let us not forget the part about you are made for perfection. That speaks to me about our inherent value. That every sentient being has worth and value. In fact, I loved what Sandy read today about how we are in unity. We value everybody and every path to God. That makes me smile every time I hear it. It's a big reason why I'm here. It's very important to me to stand among and with people who value every sentient being and who value all the many expressions that we are. Here's the deal. Anytime you're holding someone out of your valuing, like if you hold any group out, that means a part of you're not valuing. So in order to actually connect to the Christ in us, we actually have to value every living being. Even the people that drive us the most nuts, or the people that do very bad things. There are people doing bad things all over the world. We still have to value their inherent worth. Everybody. There's a quote in the New Testament from Matthew chapter 13. Again, the kingdom of heaven is like a merchant in search of fine pearls. On finding one pearl of great value, he went and sold all that he had and bought it. I believe that reframing is a great pearl of great value. Reframing. Reframing turns a day or an experience from misery into joy. It is very much what the Dalai Lama and what the Archbishop are teaching us. It's kind of the practical tool for this. Here's what the Dalai Lama says. Now, when an announcement comes that my flight is canceled or postponed, who has ever had that happen? Okay. He says that does happen quite a lot here where he lives. I take it as a good opportunity to sit and do my practice, to sit and meditate. So now I feel less frustration. Well, now I know why I'm not the Dalai Lama. I do know that would be the best thing to do, and sometimes I get to that. But I admit to being a little freaked out when they cancel my flight, especially if you want to catch another one, then there's all that stuff. Or any of the many ways we feel that the universe is thwarting us. Here's what the Archbishop says. I used to feel very frustrated and angry when we would be rushing to a very important meeting, and we would be stuck in traffic because there was an accident up ahead. I was grinding my teeth and looking for someone to kick. But growing older, I said, well, this is an opportunity to be quiet. And then one would try to uphold all the people that were involved in the accident. It takes time to learn to be laid back. It's not something that comes ready-made for you. It's a good message for us. No one ought to feel annoyed with themselves. That's our Archbishop standing up for us, reminding us not to be guilty because we're not quite there yet. No one ought to feel annoyed with themselves. It just adds to the frustration. We are human beings, fallible human beings. And as the Dalai Lama points out, there was a time, this is the Archbishop talking about the Dalai Lama, right in front of him. There was a time, now we see him serene and calm, yet there was a time when he too felt annoyed, and perhaps he still has those times. But this being on earth is a time for us to learn to be good, to learn to be more loving, to learn to be more compassionate. And you learn not theoretically. You learn when something happens that tests you. Hello, you said you wanted to be more compassionate. Hello, you said you wanted to be more laid back. The Dalai Lama's serenity, didn't come fully formed. It was through the practice of prayer and meditation that the gentleness, the compassion grew. His being patient and accepting within reasonable limits. This is still the Archbishop talking. Accepting circumstances as they are, because no use beating your head against a wall just gives you a headache. There is a veil of growth and development. Reframing has been a spiritual practice, even as long ago as the Old Testament, when the Old Testament was written. I want to read Psalm 84, except that I did not print it out, which is a little bit funny. And it's a really good time for me to be laid back. I had printed out a bunch of Psalm 84s to put at the backs in case anybody wanted them, and God only knows where they are. But I will say that the quote from Psalm 84, which maybe we'll go into next week, is about the phrase, "Who passing through the valley of weeping make it a well," has to do with transforming. When you go through the valley, the actual word is baka, means weeping. And so while the actual quote of a veil of weeping is not found in the Bible, we see that the idea originates. And it has inspired the term veil of tears. There's a lot of, you've heard of veil of tears, so valley of tears. But the veil of tears is not to be a place of despair for those who make God the Lord of their life. If you read the Psalm, and you can look forward to reading that this afternoon at home, and even just the one verse, this God promises those who dwell in the house of God that their veil of tears will be turned into a well of life-giving water, and that the rain would become refreshing pools, that we would go from strength to strength, and that God would be with us always. So the thing about that, God would be with us always, and reframing has to do with the secret practice, or it's not so secret, that something you can pull out of your pocket anytime. Reframing something in your mind from the veil of tears to a well. I know I keep using this example, but it's just been going on with me. Roland and I get to go to doctors a lot. And for some reason, I get totally triggered when we go to the VA, because there's often, they just have a system, and sometimes it doesn't work exactly the way I want it to. But I can have two completely different experiences depending on my mind. And I've learned it enough so that usually when I go into the VA now, I say, everybody here wants to help Roland and wants to help me and wants to give us what we need. Or I can go in and I can say, my God, this system sucks. If I have to wait in one more line, and if I have to send one more fax that doesn't get to the right person and wait 3 days for whatever it is, or have some doctor say, why are you here, and stuff like that. And as you can see, I can actually develop some energy, I can make a case. I could sell you on the case. But what a waste of energy. Oh my gosh, is that draining? Nothing will get me more tired. And believe me, people, nothing will get you more tired than that frame of mind where, and it's not like you have to make it up, right? Let's face it, in our lives, all we have to do is kind of walk through our day and things are going to pop up. You know, we're going to step on that rake. It's going to go bam. We are going to get cut off in traffic. Any number of ridiculous that you're going to leave the psalm in the printer, you know, whatever it is, little and big stuff that you're going to do. So it's not like you have to go out of your way. But what I want all of us to do is to go out of our way to reframe, to reframe. And it's never too late to reframe. In the middle of a tirade, you can stop and say, or in the middle of a mental tirade, both ways, whether you're actually tirading against someone or it's all in your head, you can just stop. You can just stop. You can change the valley of tears into a wellspring of life and joy just by the reframe. Just by the reframe. Now, we're going to do a reframe for ourselves, which is a without fail reframe, while we're taking an offering for unity. So we're going to take an offering for unity, and then we're going to watch the Happy movie, and everybody who wants to is going to be encouraged to stand up and wiggle with the Happy movie, okay? The Happy song, So we'll start by getting our tithes and our love offerings ready. So, if you want to limber up for the... limber up to give that money, limber up to do that dancing. Go. All right.